Most superhero movies follow a simple structure. Bad guy shows up, breaks something expensive, hero gives a speech, punches him into next week. Everyone feels morally validated. Megamind skips all of that. The villain wins, not temporarily, not we'll fix it later. He just wins. Metro Man is gone, the city is his, the fight is over. And within minutes, Megamind realizes something deeply unfortunate. Oh, this is actually kind of terrible, because it turns out world domination is less fun when there's nobody left to dramatically monologue at. The film introduces an idea most superhero stories ignore. The hero and villain need each other. Megamind doesn't just lose Metro Man, he loses structure, purpose, identity, because his entire personality was built around being the guy who fights that guy. Remove Metro Man, and now he's just a blue dude with a cape and too much free time. Megamind isn't just evil. He's committed, unnecessarily committed. A cape? Optional. A voice? Unnecessary. The giant holographic presentations? Deeply inefficient. He's not committing crimes. He's producing them. You've got baby Megamind narrating his life like he's already the subject of a crime documentary, calling himself the inmate known as Megamind as an infant, which is funny, but revealing. Early on, the movie establishes a pattern that shapes his entire identity. Metro Man is celebrated for being special. Megamind is punished for being different. This isn't just contrast, it's conditioning. From the start, Megamind learns that no matter what he does, he's going to be treated as the problem, so instead of fighting that perception, he leans into it. And that's what makes his character interesting, because his villainy isn't rooted in ideology, but in adaptation. Once Metro Man is gone, Megamind is left with something he's never had before. Nothing. No rivalry, no conflict, no role, and the film lets that sit. There's a stretch where Megamind is wandering through the city, testing what it means to be in charge. At first it's exciting, then it becomes repetitive, then empty, and this is when he realizes that he doesn't want power, but purpose. Without Metro Man, he doesn't know how to define himself anymore. Roxanne is one of the more grounded characters in this film. Not because she's overly serious, but because she's the only one not completely caught up in the hero-villain dynamic. Megamind kidnapping her isn't shocking. It's routine. She understands something the rest of the city doesn't. Megamind isn't unpredictable. He's consistent, almost rehearsed, and that familiarity allows her to respond differently. She doesn't fear him. She tolerates him, which is a different dynamic than most hero-villain relationships. The Bernard sequence is when Roxanne becomes crucial to the story, because when Megamind disguises himself, something changes. For the first time, there is no villain persona, exaggerated voice, or performance, and Roxanne responds to him as a person, not a role. Their conversations are awkward, but genuine. And what's interesting is that Megamind doesn't become someone else. He's still strange, socially off, and trying too hard in certain moments. But he's real, and she picks up on that. She challenges him, questions him, and engages with him differently. Not because she's fooled, but because for the first time, he's not hiding behind the identity he built, and that interaction becomes the catalyst for a shift later in the film. Minion is the only character who consistently understands what Megamind is going through, and more importantly, he understands it before Megamind does. Minion has been there through everything. He's watched Megamind build this identity piece by piece, so when that identity starts to crack, he notices immediately. When Megamind decides to create a new hero, Minion pushes back. Not because he's morally opposed, but because he understands the motivation behind it. Megamind isn't trying to do the right thing, he's trying to fix the absence of meaning, and Minion sees that this is just a repetition of the same pattern. Recreate the conflict, recreate the identity. But it doesn't work like that. As a result, Minion leaving is one of the few moments where the film drops the humor, because he doesn't just disagree, he leaves. That matters because Minion isn't just a sidekick, but Megamind's only real connection. The only relationship not built on conflict or performance. So when that disappears, Megamind is left with nothing to anchor him, which is when the identity crisis becomes unavoidable. Metro Man is introduced as the perfect hero. Effortless, admired, untouchable. But that's the problem, because perfection leaves no room for change. The QuickTime scene reframes his character. From the outside, it looks like a heroic sacrifice. From his perspective, it's something else. Time slows to a crawl. He walks away from the explosion, and for what feels like an eternity, he reflects not on saving the city, but on his own life. And what he realizes is simple. He's been playing the same role over and over again. No growth, change, or choice. So he leaves, not because he failed, but because he no longer wants to be defined by that role. And that's what makes him interesting. Unlike Megamind, Metro Man recognizes the role for what it is, steps away from it, and after achieving absolute power, universal admiration, and the ability to bend time itself, he decides his true calling is music, because that's something he's not talented at. Hal is the film's our nice guy, and the most dangerous, because he's not shaped by expectation like Megamind, but by insecurity, and that insecurity defines everything he does. When Megamind tries to train Hal, the contrast is there. Megamind understands what a hero should be. Hal doesn't care. Instead of saving people, he focuses on impressing Roxanne, showing off, proving his worth, which reveals that Hal doesn't want to be a hero. He wants validation. When Roxanne rejects him, he doesn't grow. He escalates. No reflection or accountability, just entitlement turning into aggression. Because unlike Megamind, who performs villainy, Hal believes in his actions. There's no distance between who he is and what he does. So once he has power, like any amplifier in life, it scales. By the time we reach the final battle, the conflict has shifted. It's no longer about strength, but identity. Megamind realizes he doesn't need to recreate the old dynamic, so he stops performing. No dramatic transformation or speech, just makes a choice. For the first time, that choice isn't based on expectation, but on who he actually is. Megamind understands something most superhero films don't show. The roles are the limitation. Hero, villain. They simplify the story and they restrict the characters. Megamind gets stuck because he never questions the role. Metro Man escapes because he does. Titan shows what happens when identity is built on insecurity, and Roxanne and Minion operate outside that system. Megamind is about someone who committed to a role for too long without questioning it, and then had to figure out who they were without it, which is a grounded idea for a movie that includes a fish in a mech suit, a superhero who retired to play guitar, and a villain who treats crime like a presentation. But it works. And if you made it this far, consider liking, subscribing, and commenting for more content. Thanks for watching.